Hello, YouTube. It's Eddie from the Vanguard Critic with a deck profile for all of you guys today. It's been a while since we did one of these, but today I'll be sharing with you guys my Bermuda Triangle deck. It is a Lena build, and when I was making it, the whole point or the whole concept was to essentially swarm my opponents with a whole bunch of attacks. It doesn't matter if they're good numbers or bad numbers, just to get 3 attacks in as soon as possible. And then you re-ride Lena in order to fix your field. And Lena serves a dual purpose too, because she bounces cards to your hand, and this deck runs, you probably guessed it, those cards that when bounced, they let you draw an extra card. So let's just dive into the deck, and I'll explain as we go. So our starter is Bermuda Triangle Cadet Weddle. She's pretty much an amazing utility starter because she's free, and basically, if you are grade stuck, or if you need combo pieces, you can use her to bounce those. A whole bunch of cards on this deck allow you to draw, so you can bounce those to reuse their come into play effects or their when bounced effects in order to draw extra cards to get those combo pieces and potentially avoid getting grade stuck. But if you don't need to use her effect, she's a 5k boost, so she's decent, and you can just bounce her to your hand with Lena in order to use her as a 10k shield later on. So there's nothing really bad about her that I can think of. And you probably assumed that I would run for Bermuda Triangle Princess Lena, and you'd be right. So Lena is a giant bounce card. She bounces your entire field when she's ridden. So you bounce cards that let you draw when they're bounced, and you bounce cards to fix your field later on because, yeah. What's so bad about that? She also hits for 13k by herself if you have 4 or more Bermuda Triangle rearguards, so she's amazingly good at hitting those cross-ride units with pretty much any boost behind her. Now, I chose Lena over, I guess, the other Bermuda Triangle boss cards because I wanted a deck that can still draw cards true to the Bermuda Triangle theme, bounce cards, draw cards, and still hit cross-rides at the same time. So Lena was pretty much a perfect fit for me. And last up for the grade 3s, I run 3 Rainbow Light Karen. I run her basically because she's a 10k vanilla. Well, not really vanilla, but she's a 10k body, and she nets you a card when she's bounced. Now, I used to play Super Idol Serum, a few copies of her, because she can swing for 13k, which is a good number against crossrides, and she uses up 1 counterblast. Now, in this deck, if you don't get off the combo with Lena, you're going to have a lot of leftover counterblasts, and I kind of feel like it's a waste to just let them sit there face up. I like seeing as many cards face down as I can possibly get by the end of the game. So I might play around with more numbers of Serum. I might include more copies of her. But the only reason why I didn't really like her too much is because behind a bad boost, like a 5k to a 7k, you're hitting for 18k by counterblasting 1 every turn. Now, usually I can only get off that effect maybe 2 to 3 times, and when I ran out of counterblasts, or if my opponent refused to give me any damage, i.e. they're playing the end and they're attacking my rear guards and I have to block everything, Serum became kind of a useless card. She became a 10k vanilla behind a really bad booster, so I kind of took it out for the Karens because I like bouncing and drawing cards. So it's pretty much player preference that I'm not running her anymore. But I might play around with... I might test her again in this deck. Potentially. Most likely. But we'll see. So that's our grade 3 lineup. We run 7 of them. For the grade 2s, I run 3 Girls Rock Rio. She, like Karen, draws you a card when she's bounced. Now, I only run 3, even though she's incredibly important because you want to see at least one of her on your rearguard circles before you ride Lena in order to draw a card right away and break even on your grade 3 ride, because, you know, riding's a -1. So I run 3 of her in order to see her more consistently than if I ran, you know, a lower number. But I don't run 4 because she's only an 8k and she's not really doing anything special by herself. Late game, she's really, really bad because she's not hitting for any, you know, good number by herself. She can potentially hit those 12k attackers your opponent might be running with any booster behind her. But that takes 2 cards of field commitment, and against decks like Great Dayusha in the end, you probably don't have the resources to field 2 cards just to hit a rear guard because you're either guarding their Vanguard all the time because they can get a double drive check if they hit you, or they can smack you in the face with 2 to 3 criticals, and they're attacking your rear guards with their rear guards, so you're not, you're losing 4 cards every single turn, and you only get 3 back by drawing and twin driving. So yeah, just 3 Rios. And I run 4 Aquas and 3 Flutes, basically to swing for 18k more easily against those cross-ride units. This deck does have kind of a hard time swinging for those numbers, so I wanted to beef up the number of Flutes and Aquas just to remedy that problem. And lastly, for the grade 2s, I run 2 Pearl Sisters Perla. Now, like Rio, I'm not running a higher number of her because she can't really hit for 18k by herself, or 18k with any of the boosters in this deck. But she's really, really good early game to ride, and I guess as a rear guard too. If I have a Rio on the field and I ride Perla, my opponents may be pressed to guard her attack to prevent me from getting that +1. Unless they know I'm running Lena, then it's kind of useless to guard because I'm going to ride Lena anyways next turn and bounce Rio anyways. But yeah, she's an amazing ride. She's my primary ride target early on because late game, if you're up against Majesty Lord and a cross-ride deck, she probably won't be hitting the Vanguard ever. So yeah, I might play around with adding maybe 1 more of her just because she's really, really good early game, but we'll see. 2 seems to work perfectly fine for me. I don't see her too often, but I kind of wish I see her a little more often. So yeah, 12 grade 2s, just so you have a higher chance of having 3 attackers on your grade 2 ride. Yeah, that's my reasoning for it. On to the grade 1s. 4 perfect guards. I don't really feel like I need to explain these. 4 Mermaid Idol Sedna. She helps you hit for 18k, 17k more easily. Behind your Vanguard, Lena. She swings for 21, which is really good if you're up against a non-cross-ride, non-Majesty Lord deck. So that's why I run 4 of her. Now, for Myrtoa, Prism of the Water Myrtoa. I know a lot of people hate this kind of card because it helps your opponent by letting them draw 2, but this deck is really a combo deck. So you need to get as many pieces of it as you can before your grade 3 ride. So you need 1 Rio, and you need Lena pretty much in order to get the deck rolling. Now, Myrtoa serves multiple purposes in this deck. 1, she helps prevent you from getting grade locked by drawing you a card when she's played. She fills your field up without costing you a card from your hand, which allows Lena and Flute to get their 3k boost to more easily swing for good numbers. And she's a 7k booster. So behind Flute and behind Lena, she can pretty much hit for 18k. Behind your Aquas, she can hit for 17k against Majesty Lord and Shamseal. So that's why I run 4 of her. And lastly, for the grade 1s, pretty much just filler. 2 Pearl Sisters Perle. There's really nothing else in Bermuda Triangles that you can pretty much run. Perle is the next best option. She's a 7k boost, so she helps you hit for decent numbers. And she makes a pretty good combo with Perla, giving her an ability where when she hits the opponent's Vanguard, you can draw an extra card. So early game, if you can get the Pearl Sisters combo off, it's really, really devastating because your opponent will have to drop 15k to just prevent you from mad plussing off of them. Late game though, you're probably never going to get the on-hit effect off because your opponent's going to guard everything. And if they're playing Majesty Lord or a cross-ride deck, they're probably only going to need 5 to 10k shield even if you get a trigger. So yeah, that is the grade 1 lineup. Yeah, run 14 of them. And lastly, the triggers. 8 critical. Obviously, I want to deal as much damage as I can early game and late game, I guess. So criticals are an obvious choice. 4 draw triggers. We run Cooking Caspi because she's a 5k boost and she's 5k shield, so you don't need to really hesitate to drop her early game to swarm your opponent, hit them for as many attacks as possible. She can be played behind Lena if you don't have a better booster, if you're up against Majesty Lord or a Crossrite deck to swing for 18k, so there's nothing really bad about her. And we run 4 heal triggers, because they're heal triggers, and they're the best in the game, I feel. So that is my Bermuda Triangle deck. Yeah, if you have any questions, just comment down below, and I'll answer them in as timely a manner as I can possibly answer. And yeah, once again, Eddie from the Vanguard Critic. This is my Lena Bermuda Triangle deck, and I will see you guys later. Bye!